Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go Quick Look product review, and this time we are looking at the Saji SRS 13 Stag Antler Gyuto 210mm knife. The site has right now horn, but stag deer do not have horns. They have antlers, which is a bone, versus horns, which I think are made out of hair actually. So we'll get them to change that on the site. So anyway, now that that's out of the way. The core steel is SRS 13, which not a lot on it, but it's fairly similar to the SRS 15, which is a great steel that's used in some lines of knives. It's a powdered metallurgy stainless steel with really good edge retention. The heat treat on it's about 61 Rockwell, and the cladding is stainless as well. This knife is really shiny, so we'll attempt to show that to you without blinding you with the lighting, but it is clad in stainless on either side for a 3-layer sandwich, so it is all stainless. The weight is fairly substantial. It's 236 grams or 8.3 ounces, and on the edge these will vary a little bit, but this one, you know, the weight and stuff is going to vary, but this one's about 210 right on the money, or about 8¼ inches from the tip to the end of the heel, the chin. Overall length on this about 13.2 inches, and the spine thickness is a fairly thin blade. It's about 2 millimeters coming out of the bolster, and pretty much holds that, maybe even gains just a touch, and then it doesn't really have much taper, so it pretty much just keeps a lot of that spine thickness. And then right near the grind, you can see the blade road's fairly generous here, where you can see where the grind starts off the main part of the flat of the knife with the cladding. But it thins out of the very, very tip, but there's not a lot of distal taper on this, so that's not the style of the blade. The height is 46.8, so it's reasonably high, but it's a fairly wide neck, the way they do the handle, so it doesn't look tall, but it's a little taller than it appears. As long as you're not too crazy with your grip and you don't have huge fingers, you should have plenty of clearance for the board. Not an issue for me at all. I don't have huge hands. The handle is Stag Antler, which is really nicely done. So they've got each side, the fit and finish is done well. They've got a couple filler pieces in the back, because the way the shape is, they need that. So there's a couple filler pieces in the back, and you've also got one here, but this is a natural product, so you can have some variations. The fit and finish is done very, very well on this. Nice bolster, fit and finish on the rivets is good, the tang. So it's just a nice job. The handle's fairly heavy, so the balance point is right there on the bolster. So in terms of a pinch grip, it's going to be handle heavy a little bit. Nice curve there for your finger, so super comfy on a pinch grip, or comfortable for a racket grip. The handle's a little wider and not as, I should say, taller and not super wide, so that's just the style of the handle. So it's more rectangular than roundish or squarish. So let's take a close-up look. So they've got this interesting finish you've probably seen on some other blades, and it's due to the hammer pattern, or I should say the pattern in the hammer, if I can get that out. And it makes a really interesting kind of a lattice work style, kind of crisscross. It's a pretty cool effect. Again, this is a fairly polished blade, so it's kind of hard to show you that. But it's an interesting cladding texture and pattern. You've got some really nice hand chiseled kanji on here. You can see how that pops, and you can feel it a little bit. Despite the cladding texture, you can feel the kanji as well, so it's a super nice job on the kanji. If you look really careful, if I get my lighting right, you can kind of see the cladding line. It's pretty faint, easier to see in person, but you can kind of see it there. Here's your blade thickness, spine thickness. You can see not a lot of distal taper. These get nice and thin at the very edge. And they've got a fairly hard shoulder, so food separation should be excellent on this. But they're nice and thin right at the edge where it counts. Again, fit and finish real nice all the way around, comfortable. Here's your handle. Here is that filler I talked about, but that's just a byproduct of having a natural product like this and the shape of that where you need to fill that in. I think they did a nice job blending it. Let's take a look at it on our cutting board. You can see the shape of this blade has more kind of a spear point. So let's see what it looks like. So a little bit of flat towards the back, gentle belly that gets a little more aggressive towards the tip, And you can see I can get really high with this. So this will rock really high if you want to do that. So again, fairly aggressive belly towards the tip, but a little bit of flat towards the back. So I'd say overall this blade's pretty flexible profile. So it's got a fairly stiff blade for being 2 millimeters. It's pretty stiff and just a nice confident feel to it. So it's a very interesting blade, unique handle. This is a really cool knife. So this is the Saji SRS 13 Stag Antler Gyuto 210 millimeter knife.